The word conspiracy theory or conspiracy theorists that people tend to use to discredit people's critical thinking about particular issues that has been going on with government corruption, etc. But mainly people really don't know where the actual origination of that term conspiracy theory or conspiracy theorist came from. And we're going to break it down for you in this video for you to share with your friends and family. Now this one goes all the way back to the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency, back in the 60s, which they came out with a report or a paper after the Warren Commission put out their report about the Kennedy assassination that took place. And it was actually direct quoted in that report was the 1967 CIA document 1035-960, which was concerning criticism of the Warren report. Even back then, there were still some people who were legitimately questioning some of the evidence that was presented in that Warren Commission report, which still raises several questions to this day. What exactly happened when, or who was behind the JFK assassination? Now, there's a lot of different articles about this, but mainly the term conspiracy theorist, which is always used to discredit dissent, to discredit critical thinking about particular topics such as government corruption, etc. There's a lot of different articles that are actually out there that actually do mention about conspiracy theories and how some of them actually turn out to be true. Now, this isn't in every case, of course, but certain cases it actually does. With certain evidence, people are discredited and then eventually they end up being true with the evidence. It really came out in the 1970s, the early 1970s, called the Church hearings, or the Church Committee, which came out by Congressman Frank Church, who put the hearing together after Watergate, after the corruption with Watergate, and looking into these particular issues related with conspiracy theorists or with the government's government activity. Now, there was a lot of revelations from this Church Committee, which people could still look into, which is very important for people to know about, and how the government tends to mislead people about these particular things. We'll start off, we're going to list a few things. We'll post the links in the description below for you to check out more of the information. But just some of them, for example, Operation Mockingbird. Operation Mockingbird was a CIA program which was used to infiltrate media organizations, which paid up to $1 billion or so, billion plus in today's money, which the CIA used to infiltrate news organizations to put out their type of propaganda that the CIA or the government wanted to put out about news items, etc., stuff like that, which was very successful. That we still don't know whether they're actually still using it, but they did. There has been documented cases that they have used it, and there were people on the CIA payroll who were involved in media organizations to put out certain stories that the CIA wanted to put out for public consumption or propaganda. Another example is the heart attack gun, which some people might not know about, that the CIA actually came up with a weapon that was used as a dart mechanism from a gun to fire at somebody, and with a certain chemical reaction in the body caused a heart attack, or where someone could conveniently die, say natural causes, when the autopsy report comes out without any trace of the chemical that was from that gun. Now again, that was never actually used that we know of per se, but it was on the drawing board in the CIA's operations because of this Church Committee hearing. Now another important one was vaccines, which came out from the polio vaccine, which was related with the SV40, which was a weaponized version cancer virus, which was accidentally put in vaccines during the 1950s. One of the most important books I think people should know about related with vaccines and SV40 and how it was used to weaponize to basically kill people with cancer viruses that were put in the vaccines, accidentally put in the vaccines. It was a book called Dr. Mary's Monkey by Edward T. Haslam, which I definitely encourage people to read to learn more about, because it starts with the JFK assassination, then it broadens out into the idea that the SV40 was used as a weaponized cancer put in vaccines at the time. So again, that's another issue. I highly encourage people to read that book to learn more about that. Another one is, which was a great article by Seymour Hersh in the New Yorker, which put out about the Iraq War, which people always assume that, they always say, oh, that's just a conspiracy theory about weapons of mass destruction, WMDs in Iraq, which turned out to be completely false based on false pretenses. They were basically lying. George Bush, Dick Cheney, Donald Rumsfeld, all the other partners involved, several other ones involved, about the lies of Iraq. The idea that they had weapons of mass destruction, that Saddam had somehow been involved in 9/11, that he was working with Al-Qaeda. All of this turned out to be completely false based on the lie to invade Iraq, which had nothing to do with 9/11, which many people already know that. But again, it really shows the implications that, going back earlier, that how the CIA uses that term, which was actually invented by them, in that aspects with the report that I mentioned earlier from the 1960s after the Warren Commission report, how the CIA uses language. And we see this in different movies, different books, such as 1984, Brave New World, how doublespeak and newspeak and how language is used as a tool of propaganda, which the term conspiracy theory is always used to chill dissent, to silence critics, to silence critical thinkers from having any form of dialogue, having any form of debate, which we know that the CIA has used and is still continued to use to this day, regardless of how legit the information is or not, that it's still used as a term to silence dissent, to silence people from talking about key issues that are really important. Where they say, oh, that's just a conspiracy theory that we invaded Iraq based on lies. Well, it turned out to be true, actually. Or the idea of 9/11. That we have to invade a country because they hate our freedoms, because of the 9/11 attacks, because they hate our freedoms overseas. All of these terms are still used and cleverly used in propaganda, such as movies, news, all of these different things to silence dissent. So again, for those, share this video to learn more about this information, because it really shows how they use keywords, how they use words, conspiracy theory, crazy, all of those different keywords to silence dissent about these particular issues, whether it's anything for that matter. There's so many other ones that actually turned out to be true. This is just a few examples. You could look up the rest. There are a lot of other ones, but I can't fit it in this one video for people to check out, of all these different conspiracy theories that turned out to be true. So again, it's used. The CIA uses clever propaganda like this to silence dissent, to suppress the truth or suppress information that should be used as an open mind for people to know more about how the war works and how it's going on. Another example would be the Bilderberg Group, or conspiracy theory like that people say, oh, that's no big deal, they're just meeting in a secret location for 3 days, which happened to be under armed guards and a total lockdown with several intelligence agencies, the Mossad, NSA, CIA, FBI, all of those different examples, but it's still no big deal because it's just the most powerful people in the world, a meeting in secret locations deciding policy for us. I don't know how anybody would be okay with that. The important thing is that it should be used as a dialogue for people to know about this type of information, about the Bilderberg Group, about how the government lies to justify war. All of these different examples that are brought out into the light. Again, sunlight is the best disinfectant in these particular cases. So again, I highly encourage people to check out the links. They'll be in the description below for the books that I mentioned related with the SV40 vaccines, the articles related to the conspiracy theories that turned out to be true. And if you like this video, click the like button and subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe for all of our videos coming soon. Lots of different interviews about these topics, and check out all of our other interviews with whistleblowers and much more. So many different videos about those topics that people should know about, and definitely share them and get involved and be because education is the important thing first before we have to have a revolution, we have to have a revolution of consciousness. So again, thank you so much everybody for watching, and stay tuned for more videos coming soon.